Good day, my friends. Before I begin, which makes no sense because I've just begun, but before I begin this, I want to read this very, very nice piece. I noticed this from Return Expedition, who writes, "Wow, I'm so hooked. Last night I listened to Lionel's radio show, The Other Side of Midnight, on 77 or 770 WABC radio. Download the app, peeps. You won't regret it. And Lionel got to get that Ronnie on again. So fun." We had a woman on last night who, and you remember this, who said that Democrats were aliens. And she went into great detail based upon how they looked. It was radio that you can't believe at 3 o'clock in the morning in New York City, overnight, and syndicated. So download the 770 app, WABC. You just go there and do it. It's called The Other Side of Midnight overnight, and you can listen anytime you want. So thank you very much for that unsolicited and very beautiful, beautiful piece. My friends, tonight, our friend Candace did probably one of the most important pieces ever that she spoke of regarding an anent, this thing called, basically, she talked at great length about the case about Tyler Robinson, how he did not admit to anything to his father or anybody. That was critical. That was very, very important, very, very important and critical that we do this. Also, Crim Paralegal, new member, welcome. My God, a Crim Paralegal extraordinaire. Bless your heart. Bless your heart. But she talked about something, and why it's important is this. In order for you to grasp what is happening in the world, it's important, obviously, to understand and to be able to become conversant with all of the layers of stuff that's out there. And there's a lot of things which we've talked about. And she mentioned, I think somebody mentioned something about Building 7 or something. There's a lot of information to get. Conspiracy theories, as you would call them. The past, shadow governments. And she mentioned something called Freemasons, the Knights Templar. Did you hear that? 33rd degree shadow empire. And for the longest time, we have heard this in reference. And nobody's really explained it to you. I mean, you've heard it before. And it's not what you think, because most people say, wait a minute, my Uncle Dave was in the Masons or Freeman. He had a ring and they had charity work, and that's not what we're talking about. What is this? And Candace brought it up, and by the way, touche. You go, girl. The Dark Brotherhood, Freemasons. What is this? Knights Templar and the 33rd degree shadow empire. I was going to put this together for you in a separate piece. And when I heard it tonight, I thought, you know what? This might be perfect. This might be perfect for me to kind of piggyback. And I think many of you might enjoy it. Because in order for you to be conversant with all of the subject matters, you must start with that one, because it comes up all the time. And when you do, I want you to imagine a hidden network operating for centuries, pulling strings from the shadows while the world remains clueless, oblivious, until fairly recently. Not everybody knew this, but because of the internet, because of people, many, many people. But for a lot of people, Alex Jones and others, remember, I know Alex is acting sometimes. You might think he's a little daft, but he has been, in many respects, superb and turned people on to this faster than you could ever, in any event. So this is the rather frightening and the chilling reality that many researchers attribute to the Freemasons, which is one of the most secretive and allegedly, putatively dangerous organizations in all of human history. And it starts from their, I guess, their rumored origins. You know, the story of the blood-soaked legacy of the Knights Templar to the elite 33rd degree rituals. Candace showed you today. Everybody say 33, 33 hours, 33. Cash Patel, 33, 33, 33. Why 33? Why is 33 so important? How long did Christ live? 33 years. You do the math. But the rituals, all that have been kind of spoken about in dark corners, Freemasonry stands accused today of orchestrating global control. Raoul says Candace is the secret agent woman. They're giving her a number and taking away her name. I think Candace, I do not believe she is an operative. I do not believe she is part of any kind of an Illuminati or negative or dark cognoscenti. But what I do believe she is I believe she is so possessed of information more than a lot of people do and would know. A lot of people. But people have been, they've always said that the Freemasons, have been organizing global control, occult practices, the systematic, this is what they were worried about, the dismantling of free societies. I mean, look at our society. Look at who our folks were. And what began as some kind of a medieval warrior order, they said evolved into something far more sinister. And the fear today is that it inspires not paranoia, but it's, I guess the fear it inspired is kind of like pattern recognition. So let me give you this little story, a little background story. This is interesting. Where does it start from? This story goes back to 1307, when King Philip IV of France and Pope Clement V crushed the Knights Templar. You got it? So you got a king and you got the Pope. And by the way, popes then, the papacy was a war, a feverish war all itself. Now, officially, the Templars were disbanded for heresy and greed, but conspiracy historians have always claimed that they went underground. They didn't go away. So these were warrior monks, and they were guardians of the temple of Solomon's secrets. And doesn't it sound great? Very, very, Knights of the Round Table-ish. And so they fled supposedly to Scotland with incredible wealth, forbidden knowledge. I love that. And a burning desire for revenge. And there they supposedly merged with stonemason guilds, and it transformed the whole thing into the speculative Freemasons by the early 1700s. Now it's taking shape. So the first Grand Lodge formed in London, so they say, in London in 1717. Interesting. If you like numerology, I think that's interesting. But insiders say, and those in the know say, that the real power always flowed from Templar bloodlines. Remember, bloodlines. The word is consanguinity, to share blood. Sanguine, exsanguinate, to bleed out. Consanguinity. Bloodlines. They love that stuff. Even today, the elites do. So symbols like the square and the compass echo the Templars' architectural mastery. Geometry was also, by the way, was very esoteric. The stuff that they were doing is not considered like you would today, the plumb line, and it was almost, dare I say, magical. So this wasn't a friendly club, by the way. It was a survival strategy for an order that once, at one particular time, challenged the kings and popes. Their motto, non nobis domine, not us, not unto us, God, but you. It's not about us, it's you. All this hid deeper ambitions of rebuilding this new temple. They love. Sound familiar? Building the temple, rebuilding the temple. All these themes. Where does that sound like? Where does that sound familiar from? But it's not for God, by the way, but it's for man's dominion. But anyway, so by the 18th century, now it's really kicking in. And it is exploding across Europe and America. In our country, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Dozens of founding fathers were members. Interesting? Coincidence? Maybe. Now, on the surface, they promoted Enlightenment stuff, Enlightenment ideals. You know, liberty, equality, brotherhood. Yeah. But darker theories, and I think this is kind of what Candace was referring to, darker theories insist that this was some kind of a cover. In 1798, Scottish scientist John Robison exposed it in Proofs of a Conspiracy. That was his book, claiming that Freemasons infiltrated by the, wait for it, Bavarian Illuminati. In this great, ignited, they said, the French Revolution to topple monarchs and install godless rule. And the Illuminati's founder, Adam Weishaupt, allegedly used Masonic lodges as recruiting grounds. And the French Revolution and their guillotines weren't, random chaos. Oh, nay. They were the first test run of a new world order blueprint. So Freemasons allegedly embed symbols everywhere. They love symbology. It's also called semiotics. Everybody does it. Everybody. Secret handshakes, colors, robes, symbols. The all-seeing eye on the US dollar bill. The unfinished pyramid representing humanity's incomplete transformation under their guidance. And these aren't coincidences. They didn't just happen. They didn't just pick these, things out of nowhere. They're signals to the initiated. So at the very heart, at the core of this, of the terror, they say, is the 33rd degree of the Scottish Rite, the Inspector General level. And most Masons never advance past the first 3 Blue Lodge degrees. Now, again, I'm telling you what I'm not a member. I don't know anything about this. But what the official record is the 33rd is honorary, or so the public is told. Whistleblowers and defectors describe it differently. A gateway to true power, where initiates swear blood oaths, they perform occult rituals, and learn the organization's real agenda. Be honest. Who loves this? How can you not love this? How can you not find this fascinating? You think this died off? You don't think humans today want to be a part of this? You don't think this is cool? Are you kidding me? So anyway, Albert Pike, who was a 19th century sovereign grand commander and 33rd degree Mason, allegedly outlined, listen to this, gets better, allegedly kind of sketched out Luciferian doctrines in private letters. And the number 33 itself carries mystical weight, linked to Jesus' age at crucifixion, the 33 vertebrae in the spine, and ancient numerology. Now, higher degree Masons reportedly, so they say, receive hidden knowledge about sacred geometry and alchemy and world manipulation. Doesn't this sound great? It's like wizards and Dungeons and Dragons, and I love this stuff. Now, folks who are critics of this claim only a tiny inner circle knows the full truth. That a centralized cabal or group that governs all grand lodges, pulling politicians and bankers and media moguls like puppets. Most lower degree brothers remain useful idiots, unaware of the satanic undercurrents. And by the way, that's something very, very interesting. Oftentimes, in true cults, people don't know who's really involved. They don't really know. And what do the Freemasons truly stand for? Officially, charity, morality, self-improvement. In the conspiracy kind of lens, it's far more ominous. Absolute global control disguised as progress. And they supposedly, allegedly worship an ancient force, sometimes called the Great Architect. but it's interpreted by insiders as, you ready? What do you think it is? What do you think it is? Lucifer, the light bringer. Lux, lucis in Latin. You always say lux is the nominative singular, or lux, lucis is of the light. Lucis is Lucifer, the light bringer, who defies divine order. And rituals involve, always look at the rituals. Again, this is what I've never been in one. This is what they say. I don't know. Blindfolds, nooses, symbolic death rebirth ceremonies that mock Christian sacraments, and historical bans tell the tale. The Catholic Church excommunicated them, so it was believed in 1738, and still warns against membership. What's the Pope saying now? What is he saying now? What is he saying now? He's against Luciferianism, the occult, and also something else. It was another word he used. I forget what it was. But remember, I told you, he wants 2,000 new exorcists. Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy, Franco Spain, and all modern authoritarian regimes all outlawed them, labeling them wait for it, a Jewish Masonic conspiracy. Oh, what? Wait a minute. Are you following this? Even today, they're banned in China and much of the Islamic world. What's this about? Why? Why? Because, again, not their words, not mine, they're allegedly accused of engineering wars and revolutions and economic crashes to reshape nations. So from the Titanic sacrifice to JFK's assassination, both tied to Masonic grudges, so some people say, the body count stacks up in the eyes of researchers, and people still find them frightening for one simple reason. Their secrecy breeds distrust. Remember the words that JFK said about secret societies. Remember the word of Carol Quigley and other secret societies. Lodges operate behind closed doors with allegedly blood oaths of silence, and members swear to aid brothers above all else, and all this other kind of stuff. And all of this raises fear of judicial corruption. So anyway, we could go on and on and on. But do you see why this is so interesting? And do you see why there is, and she's alleging or suspecting maybe that this might be a part of something involving the French? I don't know. I've always studied, I love that, the words, the original papacy, the Catholic Church, the Jesuits, Ignatius Loyola, all of them, the groups, the people who live kind of sub rasa, subterranean. It's fascinating. And you see, nobody ever talks about this. They don't reference this. I don't know why. Nobody cares about it. And remember, you don't have to accept it. You don't have to vouch for its veracity. But at least you have to be, I would think, marvel at the storyline. It's phenomenal. I love the storyline. Now, what Candace is doing, which is very important, Candace is doing something which is very, very critical. She's making you think about things that, again, she has to prove them. It's another story. But she's making you think about things which are fascinating. The Brigitte Macron story. The story that she gave about, not the story, but the suggestion that maybe Tyler's parents, who supposedly said, yeah, Tyler told us. She said he never told anybody any of this. Nothing. Never. He never told anybody any of this. Isn't that something? Where did we get this story that he confessed? And they asked her this specifically, do you believe this? Do you believe this? Erica, do you believe that Tyler did this? Yes. Why is Kash Patel jumping in? Yes, absolutely. Why is he doing this? Why is the head of the FBI contaminating perhaps a jury or his chance to get a fair trial? Why is all this happening? She is a very important person. And I want her and others, I want her to open your mind. That shady governor of Utah, Cox, absolutely. Listen to her. This is the most important thing. This is something. Remember, I don't expect you to believe in something. Let me give you an example. When I was in Catholic school, I think I told you the story about the saints, the martyrs. I was a fan of them. And I went to a place called St. Lawrence School. And St. Lawrence, based after St. Lawrence of Rome. St. Lawrence of Rome, imagine being a kid hearing this, was martyred on a gridiron, like a regular, what I'm trying to say, like a grill. And when he was martyred as such, his famous lines were, please look this up, please go, St. Lawrence of Rome. His famous line was, turn me over, I'm done on this side. Now, when I heard that as a kid, did I believe? I don't know if I believed it to be true, but I liked the story. I believe that this was the story. I believe this is what people believe. I believe what they said. So don't ever feel that whenever somebody tells you something, if they talk about something that is, as you might say, conspiracy in nature, you're not saying you believe it. You're not saying you're going to follow it. You're just saying, I understand this is what people are saying about this. I understand that this is what people are thinking. I understand this is what people are suggesting. That's all. That's all it is. And I'm going to tell you, I am an unabashed, absolute fan of this. And for the umpteenth time, I don't really believe it. But I don't have to, quote, believe something, whatever that means. Believe it, I think, means you know it to be true. And Candace Owens is providing one of the most important lectures ever, because when this is done and gone, and all of the Tyler Robinson, however it pans out, but when it's done, you will have at least perhaps maybe been exposed to a new way of thinking as to all this stuff that's going on. Because there is something underneath. There's something everywhere. Eyes wide shut. You see, they love to tell you these things. And you're thinking, but that's just a movie, right? Yeah, right. There's nothing to it, right? No, of course not. They love to do it. They would love to hide in plain sight. They love you to handle the money, to say things. Everything that we do. There is something that people love. How many of you kids loved to play fort? Did you ever take your sibling, your brother, your sister, get a towel or a sheet, take a couple of chairs and drape it over, and you hide in this thing, a fort, whatever you want to call it, a cave? Did you ever do that? Why do you think you did that? Why do you think you did that? Did you ever love to play hide and go seek, to hide, to secrete yourself, to remove yourself, to be invisible? It's what people. It's this thing that we love to do, and we love to do it so much. We love to do it so much that we've loved organizations and groups that think this way as well. And we also know that there is what you believe to be true. And then there are other people who say, no. Why do you think nobody has taken, and Candace brings this up, why do you think nobody on Fox News has ever cared about really what happened to Charlie Kirk? Why don't you think? Why? People don't like going deep into it. They really don't like it. They don't even like talking about the president with Butler. They don't want to, they just don't like this. There's something that's spooky. They believe that everything should be up in the open. Everything should be, and that if there's somebody there, he was a lone wolf or he worked with somebody else, but he's not a part of the government. He's not some rogue. But no. He's a part of, you know what I mean? Yeah, okay. But this is what they believe in. And they don't like this. And we know, and you and I know, and Candace knows, that there is such truth behind this. It is wonderful. And that's what I want you to understand. Don't ever lose this. She's onto something. Zamed says, Lionel, in your previous video, you channeled Al Pacino from The Godfather. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. Yes, indeed. I don't know if I channeled it, but it was yes. And by the way, there's something else which is important too. You always challenge her hypotheses. That doesn't mean challenge, means weigh them, test them, listen to them. Sometimes think, here is my question. This is my only question. This is my question. I think that most people realize that in order for you to carry off something as horrible as what they did, that you have to ask yourself, they have to ask themselves the question, does Charlie Kirk pose that much of a problem to Middle East global policy, Israel, other Middle Eastern concerns, CIA, Intel? Does Charlie Kirk really pose something so great, so powerful, so problematic that he had to be dealt with? Because what he is suggesting that people are involved with has to be addressed. I mean, it has to be addressed. You just cannot allow this to do anymore. Do you really think so? I doubt this. I'm saying he's very powerful. I think he's a very, very powerful person. I really do. I swear to you, I think he is. But I don't believe that he independently posed such a threat to the regime, because so many other people believe the same thing. He was one of many. It wasn't that he was this unique voice. The other voices cumulatively, if you look at them, they probably collectively didn't really pose any, enough. They were as much of a threat. Oh, there's Brad. Celine Dion, 58. Ian Zierning, 62. Tracy Chapman, 62. She has a fast car. Paul Reiser, 70. Musician. Eric Clapton, 81. Warren Beatty, 89. John Aston, 96. Gomez Adams. Thank you, good sir. So anyways, now somebody says, Fred says, I'm convinced he caught someone, maybe Charlie did, embezzling, and they took him out. Fred, that could be, but I don't know where you get that particular storyline from. I don't know where. Maybe I missed it. Maybe there was something. Maybe. And when somebody says, I'm going to do this, I am going to risk getting caught, being found out, having a co-conspirator spill the beans, have somebody else innocently caught in the crossfire. I'm risking this particular methodology. Okay, take him out, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. There are ways to do it without not a lot of people around, where it could look maybe like a robbery or something, look a little bit easier, cleaner, not as messy. This is the dumbest way to do it. So what I'm saying is, I'm not suggesting that what you're saying is out of the ordinary or is out of the picture, but it seems to me like that's one of the worst possible ways you can do this. One of the worst possible ways. This way. It's just, my God, there's so much. Whoever said, yeah, that's the way to do it. Now, no matter how much you think, it's very easy for Charlie to have been surprised, compromised, uh, shanghaied, Pearl Harbored, whatever the particular phrase you want to say. He could have definitely this. So what I'm saying is that could happen. But what a stupid, stupid way this is. Somebody who does that, like the Butler case, is somebody who says, this is the only way I can get near him. When you want to deal with a president, especially today, that might be the only way you can possibly do it, because it's just too difficult for you to come into contact with him. This is the only way. It's sloppy, it's messy, it's very dangerous, but it's the only way available. I can't get close. I can't do it. With Charlie, though, it could have been done a million different ways. Same thing with Epstein. They could have done it with him a million different ways. You see what I'm saying? This is the most important thing in the world. So while we say some things, if you say, I'm convinced that he exposed somebody, found somebody pilfering and nicking the funds, whatever it is, I understand it. But then you got to say, are these people devoid of any kind of planning? If you wanted to do that, if your goal was to take him out, there's so many ways it could be done easily, because he's not always under lock and key, that sort of thing. So we have to also understand, I want you to become more, please become more, dare I say, more conspiratorial. Please. Tonight on WABC, I'm going to explain to people this notion of how this, these kind of choreographed tantrums, these no kings, they're just inconceivably, vague, nebulous, but so popular, so monumentally popular. They just love these people. And I do not know why. I will never understand why. I will never understand why. That's it. Candace Owens, by the way, is doing such a wonderful job, and she is driving people berserk. And I'm telling you, it's one of those things where they don't know what to do. Those TPUSA people still don't know how to do it. They still don't get. And like I've told you before, the best thing they could have ever done, very, very simply done, is just allow her to be herself. This is Candace, and just forgotten it. But they had to go in for the kill. They had to go in for the kill. They had to show you that they knew what was going on. They had to do it. My friend, she is a treasure. And there's nobody else available doing this. There's nobody else who even comes close to this. And the other side, I'm not going to go through the list, but they have such jadruls who basically their job is to come forward and say that she's an evil person and she's terrible. Do you believe the governor of Arizona, or Utah rather, is evil? Again, this word evil is a little tough. I think there are people who are political hacks and are told this is what we're going to do. And if you know what's good for you, you're going to go along with it. Okay, and that's it. But I'm also glad to see that Candace and other people will tell you that in no way, this is according to her, in no way did Tyler's parents ever, or did he ever admit to Tyler's parents anything. Because that's what they keep telling you is the truth. They keep telling you this. And they believe, and they want you to believe this, and they want you to understand this. And when it comes to confessions, I can talk about that all day long. You see what's going? It's fascinating, my friends. It's absolutely fascinating. So we're going to get right now into this next thing, because they're going to get away from the typical Candace or the Erica story, because she's done. Do you all agree that, as far as you're concerned, you would be surprised if TPUSA could ever pull out of this? Not out of any wishing them any harm, but how could they ever have been allowed to persist on their own without Charlie? We talk about this repeatedly. I don't want to keep going back to the default, but without Charlie, there's nothing there. There is no TPUSA, nothing. And also, did you notice that CPAC? Did you hear anything about that? No. Again, I said this the other day, and I didn't want to bring it up, but I will say it. I never ask about your politics. I don't care what they are. It doesn't matter what you call your politics. It doesn't matter to me. But let me just tell you this. I am very, very frightened for good reason. Throughout my life, I thought we learned from Vietnam. I thought we'll never have a Vietnam again because people will be so tired of and so scared of recreating that they'll never do it again. They will never allow something as stupid as that. They will have a clear mission, and a mission statement. They'll have a pure choreography in terms of what to do. They'll know exactly who the enemy is. They'll know when they've met their target. Either something has been, I don't know, something has been blown up or some bridge has been taken. And we're doing exactly the same thing. Would you like to be a part of any kind of expeditionary force who decides to go in with tractors and steal a ton or so of, I don't know how many tons of uranium? Anybody? Are you into that? Or is there anybody at all? Are you? Do you hear what we're talking about? It's the most incredible thing in the world. And nobody is saying, and then the worst part about it is when you have somebody who says, well, I'm here to be a Trump sycophant. And everything that he says, I'm going to say I'm for 100%. I'm going to question nothing. I'm going to take all of my instincts and I'm going to throw them out the window because I don't want to be caught. This is cable news. Speaking against the president because I'll lose my button. I'll lose my membership decoder ring and I'm out of the picture. You can't believe anything these people say. And I don't know about you, but do you ever watch any other foreign groups, if you will? I got to tell you, the people that I'm seeing and those who have been talking about this have shown me a kind of a perspective on the war and what would be the war that I never really understood. I got to tell you something very quickly. We have this idea, and I want you to remember this, that the other side of midnight, the other side of the world, that they're evil. And that these people are not just Islamic or whatever, but they're evil. And their goal is not just to win, but to spread evil. And we love to say that they're evil. And the problem with that is evil kind of blends into crazy. I'm not going to say whether these people are evil because that's depending upon you. But they're not crazy. And they will say that you're evil. And they will also say, believe it or not, that it would be better for you. It would certainly behoove you to listen to what their perspective is. And ask yourself, what would you do if you were in their position? Now, I know nobody wants to do this. I know nobody, especially in the cable news shows. But we need some really smart people who know how this world is done. And we need some negotiators, people who are willing to go there and say, I'm not here to embarrass you. I'm not here to pretend like I'm something that I'm not. I want to get this thing fixed. And I want to talk to somebody who has a very, very simple, kind of a Sergei Lavrov kind of approach. Very, very polished, very smooth, very, very diplomatic, hence the term. So anyway, I don't think Candace is talking about that, but let me tell you something. This is scary stuff. And I hope none of you have any dare I say, family members in anything. I hope they're not involved in this. I really mean it. I hope they're not involved in this because I don't understand why this is happening. Candace Owens' courage as well as yours, more powerful than little boy and fat man. The power is truth. Thank you for that. But in her particular case, her power is ingenious in being able to unearth so much stuff. She's really able to it is absolutely incredible the amount of information that she has. It's incredible. It really is. And I've said that enough. So my friends, I say to you, let us keep an eye on this. Do some research on the Freemasons. It's fascinating. Do they apply today? Are they here today? They're not saying. They're not telling us. But why do you think something like that would go away. I respectfully submit that secret organizations are far more interesting and far more attractive today than ever. I think people love that more than ever. I really do. I think they enjoy that sort of thing. In any event, dear friends, I thank you. Please, tonight, check out and download the 770 WABC app. 77 WABC app. Go to your app store and just listen to The Other Side of Midnight, 1 to 5 a.m. overnight. And just listen. Last night, it's hard to say what it is. It's a little bit of this. It's less political, but it's more in terms of, I love talking about, I did my a whole piece on Gustave Le Bon and crowd theories and ochlocracies and murmurations and how that works. So please like this video. Subscribe to the channel, please. Hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And also, thank you so very much for following my wife, Lynn's Warriors, here on YouTube. That means so much to me. Dear friends, have a great and a glorious day. I thank you immensely. We'll be back tomorrow. And until then, my friends, I say, remind you always, the monkey's dead. The show's over, sue you. Dad.